Hi, welcome to the More Gems show. This is our pre-Tucson show. With me tonight are my sons, Michael.
Nope.
Nope.
There's Mike.
Jeffrey's there too. he popped himself up.
Oh, you guys are confusing me. And of course, Jeffrey, who's our chat moderator. Mike's in charge of the production of this.
Hey,
And
everybody.
so far, it's gone pretty smooth. So
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's early in the show.
No problems happening yet. Yes. Yeah. For the people that are repeat watchers, I got Eileen out there, Chase.
Yeah, hey Chase.
Yep. James
Hi,
is out
Chase.
there. Yeah, we got a lot of people that have been some newcomers here, but some people that watch us. Every once in a while, we do have Michael has some technical issue going on. But tonight, I think it's a new year, 2025, and Michael's resolution was no more technical
No
issues.
more technical issues. Hey, I'm going strong so far. The
Yep.
stream started, so that's-
11 more, right?
Yeah. Hey.
All right. So
Okay, so for our pre-Tucson show, we go to Tucson starting next Monday. And if any of you are out there and run across us, don't hesitate to come say hi. We'll be out there for 2 weeks. And to my wife's, makes her a little nervous because she knows I'm out there to spend some money. And I've just been doing a little checking of the rough that we have, and I do have quite a collection. So this year is going to be spent trying to cut as much of this as possible. So that's my goal this year, is just cut. And hopefully every show will have all the stones on the show will be things that we've cut. This show is a bit of a mix because we've got a lot of stones. We've got 32 we're going to show you tonight, and probably have 60 some on
Yeah.
that are listed on the show. And all these stones will be 20% off tonight. We're doing a little extra discount just because we can always use the money in Tucson, and there's always something to buy. So you're going to see some great stones. Some of the stones we've cut are fabulous, but I picked out some of the best we own. Some of them, of course, have been on previous shows, but a little higher discount tonight, and there are some great stones. So
Yeah, and I don't think it's on there, but in the intro, last year we got that big Morganite, which you were showing. So you cut that one up.
which is my favorite gem, one of the favorites of all time for sure.
Yeah, that's a great stone, and we bought
Big
that last
stone.
year.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll find something else big to showcase, but it's going to be hard to find something to beat this. This is, what's this way?
Oh man, I can't remember. It was a 370.
It's
some?
under 300. I think 290.
294. Yeah, 294.
So really a great stone, and I'm so pleased with it. One of those that don't care if it ever sells. I'll enjoy looking at it as I do regularly.
And before we go forward, chat, just let me know how the audio is. I know last show, I think it was in November, we had some echoing. I think I took care of that, but it may be a little quieter. So if it is hard to hear, let us know, and I'll either adjust the gain or I'll tell Steve and Jeff to speak up.
Speak up.
So just let me know. Yeah. And if there's any other issues you guys see in chat, feel free to tell us.
All right, Jeff, you want to give us
let
a
everybody
little-
knows how. Everybody that's usually at the show, you're gonna have to hear this again. But so what we're doing tonight, for everybody that's watching for your first time, welcome. We're gonna have some amazing gemstones on the show tonight. Many cut by Steve Moriarty here, master gem cutter. If you ever want to see a lot of his videos, he's on YouTube. It's YouTube More Gems. We got tons of videos there on his cutting, on our stones, on our trips that we've done to Africa and some other countries. But if you tonight we're going to be showing a lot of stones. As Steve mentioned earlier, they're all going to be 20% off the listed price. And all you got to do is go to MoreGems.com. And at the top of the page is a green banner. There's also a huge image on the homepage. Click it. You're going to see all the stones that are 20% off, many of them that we'll be talking about tonight. If you like any of those stones, they're all one of a kind. So you're going to want to jump on it. We do have 30-day returns. So, but a lot of times people go after the same stone and, someone misses out, unfortunately. So add the stone to your cart. Then you can add coupon code New Year in the checkout, and you'll get 20% off that price. We accept credit card, we accept PayPal, and we also have financing through a firm. So lots of different options, that you can choose from. And if you like a stone, and we also do custom design, so we can always hold it for you, ship it to you. But we're happy to go through the process of designing a piece of jewelry around any stone here. So, yes. So if, hopefully that answers a lot of your questions. If you're signed in to YouTube or Google, you can get in on this nice lively chat that we have here. You can ask questions throughout the show. If you want to see a piece again, if you want to see it on a finger, see it around a neck, anything like that, just toss in that question. We'll get to Steve, and we'll be able to answer anything that you have.
The hand?
I
can go look for the hand.
Okay,
yeah, the hand might help.
Maybe the hand real quick.
Yeah.
That usually helps. So
I don't know. Should we get the hand, chat? Throw a little gem emoji in the chat if we need the hand.
Yeah, get the handy. But yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. And we will get this show started soon here.
All right, and as you're looking at the stones on the screen, there is an appraised price and our regular price on the website. So the appraised value is based on the Gem Guide, which is a market-driven independent pricing guide. They will be out in Tucson and going to the wholesale shows and finding out what people are asking for. Different types of gems, and they do go through a wide variety of gems, almost everything. There are a few stones that we have that won't have an appraised price just because this guide does not list the price of it. As you can see here, they go through garnets, there's spessartites, and over here you'll find peridot, and they list from very low quality to extra fine, giving a breakdown on per carat prices. These are wholesale prices, and people use this for their appraisals. This guide is available to you if you are in the business. It is a very good pricing guide. It helps us dramatically, if there's something that we haven't bought for a while, or just to see what the current market is, because often you'll see them marked in dark black, and that means they've gone up recently. Which is the case here of like Paraiba tourmaline. Some of them have even jumped higher, which Paraiba is just at crazy prices, 2 to 3 carats up to $57,000 a carat. So this is the basis of our appraisal price. Anything else we want to go before we get into it?
I think we are ready.
All right.
So we're going to start the show. If you got questions, ask them in chat. We're here to answer them.
Here's a 2 carat 13 carat stone that I just recently cut. It's basically a brilliant pavilion and a step cut crown. And just that combination really works really, really well. This is from a parcel of tanzanite that we bought in, was it Hong Kong or Thailand? I think Hong Kong. Yeah. We got this parcel in Hong Kong. It was great to get because they're gram to gram and a half sizes, which even on our trips to Africa, I've not been able to come up with that. Just there's such high demand from India for this types of goods. It's just hard to get a hold of. So I have a nice parcel of material. What was there? 80 stones maybe. So we'll be cutting it for a while. And recently I also got, just this week, I got this parcel of, these are 1 to 2 gram sizes, a little bit bigger, but there's another 50 pieces in here. So we're going to have lots of nice smaller tanzanites from, 2 to 5 carat is probably what these parcels are going to cut. But this is just a beautiful gem. It's a little bit different color, but just a very, very pleasing stone. The appraised price is $2,030. $1,390 is our price online, and with the 20% off, it is $1,112. 2-carat tanzanite. You don't often see me cut this size, particularly, in tanzanite. It's worthwhile to cut because it has a reasonable value. But some of the other stones, like, I can't cut a amethyst this size because the value is, under $100, and it's still, the size is 2 to 3 hours to cut. So there's a limit to how much labor you can put into a piece, based on its final selling value. So a nice size stone. Make a really nice ring. Not a lot of time down there.
Well, as you did that, looks like we have a sale.
So we have a sale.
We do.
Talk about that while I try and find it.
And Andreas just purchased this tanzanite that you're talking about.
Well, Andreas, hopefully we find it.
This has been a common theme with Steve. I gave him an apron today when he was sorting through some other tanzanites. I've helped him, look for these stones, but it happens. You're working with small things, and they just fall and they show up. So,
Yep.
well,
I'll try not to step on it.
Oh, well,
Fortunately, they're pretty tough.
yes.
Yeah.
We'll find that
We'll
piece.
locate it.
And if you want to do something with the stone, if you want to do a custom design around it, definitely just shoot us an email after the show or during the show, and Alice will be happy to help you. Otherwise, we can ship it out to you. So you just let us know.
All right, cool. Well, let's keep that up. We can sell every stone in the show. I'll have a good Tucson. I'll have plenty of money. Nancy will be happy. I won't be spending all of her money.
All right, and Steve,
I know-
someone mentioned that
Oh, okay.
keep your mouth near the mic. You kind of cut out when you kind of go far. So
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you for that feedback.
All right, next stone up is this Marilani mint garnet. Marilani, which is actually Mararani, but in Tanzania they can't speak the R's, so it was perceived by buyers there as Marilani, but it's really spelled Mararani, which we kind of found out on our last trip there. So this is a byproduct of the tanzanite mining. It's really the only place this color comes from. It has a lot more blue than you typically see in Savarite, although it's the same. It's a grossular garnet. And this has become very popular in the business. While we were there last time to to Tanzania, they were talking about how popular it was. And it's only produced sporadically in the mining. So it is a color that's sometimes there and sometimes not. I've seen it go for years where there wasn't any material available. But for the last probably 7-8 years, it's been fairly available. But during our trip there, I think we only bought a couple of stones. I think maybe I bought a parcel rough and 1 trillion that was a bigger stone. So a grossular garnet that Just has a really nice brilliance. It's a nice clean stone. Oop, what'd you need, Mike? Yeah. If you got to give me the hand picture there. Whoop. So another nice size stone. I mean, just make a nice ring. Really good brilliance. Weighs 2.32 carat. And like Savorite garnet, as you get over 2 carat, this material does get rare quickly. You know, they just don't come big, which is true of many of the garnets. But Savorite and the Marilani mints, they just don't come big. You get 3 or 4 caraters, and that's a really big size.
What's the Crypto Crayon wants to know what the difference between like a green garnet like this and Savorite is, or how do you tell? Or what makes it different, I guess?
Which one? These fluoresce, don't they? Yeah, and the Savorite doesn't. Well, that's one characteristic of. Make sure this one fluoresces. Yeah, it does. I don't know if I can show this or not, but it's probably not going to show. But anyway, this does fluoresce an orange color. Most Savorites don't. That would be, what would be the reason? Chromium, and it's more vanadium. And I'm not sure. I mean, I've got almost a, Savorite crystal that still fluoresces orange, but so I don't know whether that's fact or not. Yeah, we don't know how true that always is, but that's one thing we've noticed as generally a distinction is that the Marilani mint garnets fluoresce orange, and typically Savorite doesn't, but it's probably not always the case. It's really the color difference is the identifying characteristic. This has more blue in it. Savorite, in its finest qualities, does have a secondary blue color, but typically not as much as the Marilani mint. And Marilani mint is typically a lighter color, so it's mostly based on color. I don't know chemically whether there is always a difference or not. There probably is. You know, whether vanadium or chromium, what the presence of those are in each of the stones. I'm not positive. You know, one place you may find information like that, although I don't think there's much on Marilani mint garnet in here. This is a really good guide that if you want to pick up a book that has a lot of information and really tells you in-depth information about gems, this is a great one. This comes from GIA. And I happen to notice that there are some bargain ones available. There's at least one on Amazon.com for $54. I see some on eBay, although eBay's not 100% trustworthy, but hopefully I can't get in trouble for that. Well, that's a fact. You know? But there are some available on there for 50 some bucks, and I'm betting through GIA this is probably a $200 book. You know, but it really gives you in-depth information on many gems. So it's something I would recommend. Somebody should grab the one that is on Amazon for $54. It's a steal. So don't leave the show to do it, but you might want to pick that one up. It is the Gem Reference Guide from GIA. It is something that originally was only sold if you were a student of the colored stone market or a student of GIA, but now I think it's available through the GIA bookstore. We had a sale.
Got another sale. So this is something Yes. So Michelle, some people do. You can do it. A lot of people go in early before we even talk about a stone. If you go to the MoreGems.com and click on that top banner, you can see all the stones we're talking about tonight. You can always buy them beforehand, and that's what Michelle did. She picked up the opposed bar pixel cut ametrine.
Oh, cool.
So, and Michelle, I know you asked a question about you may have forgotten to put the coupon code in, and we can take care of that for you. So don't worry about that.
Cool. Thank you, Michelle.
All right, thanks,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Yeah.
I don't think that was part of the show tonight, but I mean it's part of the group of stones,
Right.
the 60 stones. But it wasn't one of those featured because I think we just had that recently on maybe the last show.
Could have been. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it wasn't.
But it was a stone worthy of being on amongst all these stones that are the best of the best. Just really a great stone.
And a better discount this show too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was wondering, what's for a lot of people, this may be a gift or whatever. She's hoping to have it by February. She's in the States. I don't think it takes that too long to get there if it's shipped out.
No,
Yeah.
it should be there early next week.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, February's coming quick.
Yes.
You know.
Yep. We'll work on that for you, though.
Yeah, yeah. If you need special shipping, if you want to call tomorrow, talk to Alice, and if you really need to get it out there. So this is part of the parcel of ametrine that we bought. We bought 2 kilos of material while we were in Hong Kong, and just thrilled with it and excited to get around to cutting more of this. That's a stone that takes quite a bit of time to cut. Quartz is not the easiest stone to polish, so it generally is going to add an hour or two, depending on the size of the stone, to your cutting process. So you have to cut them bigger because you start spending 6-7 hours in a stone, and there is a minimum size you can cut before there's a limited return for your hour spent.
And with you talk about cutting too, what can you, after you're done with this, discuss the machine that you're using? Because I know we do. It looks like we have some gem cutters on the chat as well.
Well, I use the Ultratech V5. I don't know. Can you get and when you're having troubles, the bottle next to it, the whiskey bottle, is helpful. That's a cutter's best friend. But anyway, the Ultratech V5 is the machine I currently recommend. It is the best machine available that is in production and will be in production when you've been cutting for 30 years. They're likely still to be around to help you with any issues you have with your machine, to get extra parts. And, that's the problem I've had. I've got several machines downstairs that are useless to me because I can't get parts. Unless you're a machinist, can make your own parts. If the manufacturer is not there to help you out in the future, you're kind of screwed. You really need someone there to provide the parts and repairs that you need on a machine, because if you use it enough, you're going to have issues. So that's the advantage of the Ultratech. They've been around for 55 years producing this machine, and they are a company that does more than manufacture machines. All these other machines I've had were individuals that were manufacturing these machines, and either they got too old and quit manufacturing, or who knows what the issues, but they couldn't make money because there's a limited the amount of machines that a company is going to sell for faceting. So you can't really rely on faceting machines as your livelihood unless you're just an individual making the machines. But you want to be with a company that's there to support you in the future, and that's Ultratech. It cuts a great stone, as you can see in what we're showing, and many of the finest cutters in the business use this machine. And now I've moved to the fantasy machine that they also make. So they give you the versatility of going from just faceting to cutting fantasy cuts, which fantasy are either grooved or concave facets that you put in a stone that gives you a whole new look in gems. So they have that machine that attaches actually to the Ultratech V5 or or their VL machine. So it gives you total versatility. So they're a great company, and it's to this time it is the best machine available um, for those reasons. Yeah. So
Very cool. And I see in the chat, Crypto Cran, he was talking about the pixel cut and why he's seeing it more often. And a couple years back, a friend of ours and a gem cutter, Jordan Wilkins, he shared his opposed bar cut gem, which went viral. So people were talking about it, how it was either pixelated or, this gem was censored because it looks like it was censored, and it took off, and he did a really nice job cutting it, but I think that got shared around a lot, so that's probably why you're seeing it more often. But its original name is the opposed bar. So it was a really cool stone,
which
and
I've
yeah, he
cut
did a nice
for
job for it.
probably been cutting that for 40 years. But definitely, kudos to Jordan Wilkins for popularizing the cut. But it's a cool cut. I mean, it really, the action that it produces is different, and it is something that we'll be doing more of this year. That's the next one, huh? Ah. So the next one, this is a stone. I didn't cut this one, but we found it in Thailand just this last October. It is when we were there, October? I think so. And it's from a cutter that we've known for quite some time, and this is a cut that I just particularly like myself, and I like to cut these long stones. There's not a lot of material that you can cut like this, and tanzanite generally is not suitable for this length to width of cut. So as soon as I saw this stone, I knew I wanted it. The big benefit of this particular cut is when you set it, you can set it the simplest, or you can set it with a lot of diamonds. It just always makes a unique looking piece. In a ring, you put a few diamonds down the side, and it just looks like $1,000,000. It just does so well in a mounting. It's a big stone, but still could go as a ring. It's not too wide that it goes too far down the finger. But it's just a beauty. This weighs 26.14 carats. Just beautiful color to it. As we said, Michael, no issues. Are they seeing these issues, or no? It's just localized. Okay. So just really lovely color. I think I did some modifications of this cut. There were some issues that I had to fix a little bit. But it measures 24 millimeters long, so it's an inch long.
And I see Peggy. She just hopped on, or they just popped on, and the mint garnet. That one, if you want to see the prices of all these stones tonight, you can go to MoreGems.com, click the green banner at the top of the page, and that'll show you all the stones that are still available. If they've sold, you'll see that they're out of stock, but otherwise, all the prices should be on there.
So this one's 40% blue and 60% violet, which is probably my favorite mix. I like them either, well, I won't say I have a preference, but this is many of the stones I like are in that color range, and it's a common color range for tanzanite. A little more violet, Although right now I have many, many stones that are actually more blue. This has a rating of 960 out of 1,000, which is for me a very high rating. To get much higher than that, generally are things I cut, and just the cutting quality is just superior. I mean, this one's nicely cut, but it's not perfect, so it does lose a little on the cut rating. But a 960 is really a great stone. So the appraised value of this is $31,340. Our sale price is $16,990, and with the 20% off, it's $13,592 or $520 a carat. Really an exciting stone, and one of those that if it doesn't sell, we'll be working on a mounting for this because it's just fun to mount this shape.
Steve, can you show that on the hand and reach me? I upped his gain. There may be a little bit of echoing from that, from like me and Jeff are talking, but we'd like you guys to be able to hear Steve. So just keep letting me know whether the audio is good or not. I appreciate it.
I'll get this in a tweezer. So big ring, but not too big for some. Oop. .14 carat tanzanite. All right, what's next there, Mike? The opal. All right. This is an Ethiopian black opal. Whether it's semi-black or black, I think in Australia it would reach the rating of a black opal. Those cells you see are very common in this material, and you'll see that the color kind of radiates from within each of those little cells. And as you look at it out of this close-up view of the camera, those cells become much less visible and non-distractive. But the colors that are coming out of there are just intense. The darker background helps, but they're just extremely deep, brilliant, saturated colors. Cover my face.
Well, I just hold you can hold it pretty close there. Yeah, there you go.
Whoop. And these Ethiopian, they show color everywhere, front, back. Get it to focus. I think they're just amazing. Not too many gems you see such an intensity of color. Oop. And the one thing about Ethiopian, they are considered to be the most durable of all the opals when it comes to dropping them. Ethiopian black opal. This particular stone, it weighs 14 carat. $2,100 is the appraised value. That's subjective because there's really not in the guide that, if I went by the black opal guide, this would be $21,000. So, but anyway, our price online is $1,680, and with the 20% off, this opal is $1,344 or $96 a carat. hard to find a black opal from anywhere. I mean, it doesn't even relate price-wise, under $100 a carat for a black opal is just amazing, but that's the nature of the Ethiopian supply. And our source is probably the best supplier in Ethiopia, in my opinion. I suppose I need to do a hand shot with that. Okay. So, big stone, beautiful colors, great opal. And next up, this is probably the rarest stone you're going to see tonight. This is a faceted highlight opal. Now, yes, you're going to see everything that's in this stone in this light under this camera. I mean, they're there, but not obvious. I won't say not obvious, but yeah, well, they're much more difficult to see in person. The reason we don't show emeralds or rubies is because the cameras are merciless as far as inclusions. It's just going to show everything and show it much more dramatic than it is. So those stones we generally don't have online. But anyway, this is a rare gem. It's always been rare, but it's much rarer now because the supply, which is in Zacatecas, Mexico, has been depleted completely. They cut the whole top of the mountain off and got down to the vein and just cut through it, and there was no more after that. So you could have hopes that they'll find more, but currently that's not the case. What makes this stone rare is its daylight fluorescence. As you'll see here, it goes from slightly green. When you go into daylight, it just glows. So, kind of a unique piece to wear outside, because when you see it, I mean, it's the only thing you see. It's like a stoplight. It just is in your face, kind of bright green, unlike any other gem that you're going to see. So just something unique that we had the great fortune of finding these people. Unfortunately, it was right at the end of their supply, but we pretty much cleaned them out the last time we saw them. So we don't expect to have this anymore. I probably have 5 or 6 pieces of rough material that may cut a nice stone, but it's very difficult material to judge as a cutter. Its nature is botryoidal, meaning it looks like a bubbling water or something, bubbling magma. It's kind of has a unique look, and it doesn't always cut clearly. So you really don't know until you cut it what you got. So this is probably one of the finer stones we've owned. I think I had maybe one finer. The biggest stone I had was much more included in this. And I think it went for $7,000, something like that. So the material for people in the know is a high demand for collectors and people that want something that's really rare.
So even with the artificial UV light, we've got a long wave UV flashlight. It fluoresces brightly, as you can see here.
So it's just kind of a cool piece, wear it to a beach party or any party outside, and people are going to just be looking at it and going, wow, that's something different. So, highlight opal. Looks like we had a sale.
Yes, the highlight opal went to Eileen.
Eileen, cool.
Oh, very cool. Thanks, Eileen.
You're the right person for it, Eileen.
He's got some unique pieces.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you'll enjoy wearing that, you know. I kind of wish I'd given a piece to my wife just for that purpose, you know. You go out to, you know, the summer parties and this thing is just going to draw everybody's attention just because it glows so nicely.
And I'm not done. So Andreas picked up another piece, went a little bit forward, but picked up the round brilliant yellow sapphire of 4.52 carats.
Wow.
Cool piece.
Yeah, that's a great piece.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah.
the round.
Yep.
Oh yeah. That was one of my favorites for sure. Yeah, that's a really nice gem.
Jigstone, just beautiful color. Yeah, incredible. Which I have several sapphires in here that, you know, I've always been kind of amazed they haven't sold because they're the finest I've ever seen, including that yellow. We've got an orange and a blue and a magenta colored one that all my time in business I really haven't seen better. Yeah, yep. Just a great yellow. I mean, it looks like the sun. Beautiful cutting. Just high clarity. You know, typically sapphires are noticeably included, and this is just a really, really clean stone. All right. Okay, up next is another yellow sapphire. Smaller, but intense. Another really clean stone. Just intense yellow color, almost a golden yellow. Weighs 2.10 carats, appraised price of $3,810. $2,535 is our price online. And with the 20 off, it's $2,028 or $966 a carat. You know, kind of the magic number for sapphires as far as what affects their price is things that get over 2 carats. You know, there's, I don't know exactly what the difference is, but typically there's a 30% jump in the price of stones over 2 carats as opposed to 1.90 carat or so. So again, it'll make a nice ring size.
You think like ring with this kind of yellow, would you put it in a yellow gold mounting, or would you do like white gold or platinum?
Well, you would, you know, I typically would say yes, white gold, platinum, but then again, you know, I see people mounting yellow stones in yellow and they look great too, you know, so I don't know how critical that is. You know, and little to say about yellow gold. Yellow gold is on a strong comeback. We've started making more pieces in yellow gold, and sometimes I think I could make a whole website in yellow gold because there is that percentage of people that's all they like. They've never changed to white, and maybe it's 20% of the people. It includes Michael's fiance and my daughter. I mean, that's what they like is yellow, you know, so there is definitely a strong market and coming back, you know, which I'm glad for because yellow gold for us from the standpoint of ease of working with it, it's much easier for the shop to work with yellow gold. You have less steps involved. It's, you know, it's just easier to work with. Casting and finishing, everything about it is easier to do. So we have great hopes that it'll come back strongly. I assume that the mix is going to stay around for a long time, but yellow will becoming more important. So this yellow sapphire comes to us from Sri Lanka. It is heated, which is typical of probably 85% of all sapphires have been heated. Up next, this is a crystal that I've sat on for a long time. How long we had this? At least 6 years. Yeah. I don't know. I just like it. It's hard to find a twinned crystal like this in a bicolor or tricolor as you look at it. So it's just one of those rarities that I debated what to do with it. I mean, you could cut it, and I probably could make a little more as a cut stone because it'll probably cut a 10 carat. And finding them with a clean tip like this is a rare bird. Usually the green is included. And although there's some surface stuff on this, it basically is clean to the tip. So a 10 carat clean bicolor is probably 400 a carat. So maybe it'd be a 4 grand stone, but this is one of those, even I agree, it's a sin to cut. If it had been a single crystal, I'd have cut it, no question about it. But as a twin crystal like this, it's so unique that it should be left as it is. So this weighs 23.34 carats. We don't have an appraised price on it. Yeah. It's $29.90. With the 20% off, it is $23.92 or $102 a carat, maybe. Yeah. So it's really a nice crystal, and something that would make a great pendant. I know Michael wears a bicolor pendant. Is yours tricolor or bi?
It was bicolor.
Yeah.
I also got solid green.
But that's unique with that extra crystal hanging off the side. And this one comes from Brazil. Right now there's more bicolors available than I've seen for a long period. It's probably going to change because I think a lot of that might have come out of Congo. And Congo is very limited production now. There's one of those sources that we should have bought kilos of it when it came out, because it maybe it was 8-9 years that it's produced, but now almost no production. We lost the camera there, Mike. I need to just shut it off or what? There we go. Huh. All right, next up is a Malaya garnet. Huh. Okay. Can you give us the next stone there?
Yes.
All right. All right. So this Malaya comes out of Tanzania. Really a beautiful color, almost like a spessartite garnet, which currently has a spessartite garnet just really took a huge jump in prices. You know, the Chinese got into it, and all spessartites went, they doubled in price in a very, very short period. So if this were a spessartite, it would now be 5,000, some crazy money. But similar color to some spessartites, but it is a Malaya, which nothing wrong with a Malaya garnet. Doesn't quite have as high a refractive index, but for a garnet, it is one of the higher refractive indexes. So what that gives you is a greater brilliance, almost a diamond-like brilliance. You know, which this stone I did it's a brilliant pavilion and a multifaceted brilliant style crown, just has an extra row of facets on the crown, given it's that small table and really increasing the brilliance significantly. So there is some inclusions in it, but they're minor, very difficult to see in the camera here. I have it as an SI1, SI2, but boy, it's really tough to see. Maybe something there right in the middle. Yeah, I do see a veil in it, but little effect on the beauty of the stone, and just remarkably brilliant. Great color. You know, garnet right now is one of the more popular gems, just because of a lot of new sources, particularly in Tanzania. They've just hit material in Tanga in Tanzania that's kind of on the umbellite color range, that light rhodolite, bright rhodolite colors, which we have some rough that we will be cutting, and I assume that's something we're going to see in Tucson also. Uh-huh.
Dana wanted to know, as far as I know, the picture on the left, which one's better in person, like closest to in person? Would you say the one on the left or the one on the hand right now? Like
That's more accurate. Probably the one that's online.
the image.
Yeah. Although I don't, you know, and that's something I wanted to talk about too, is I don't have a regular incandescent bulb. Let me check if I do have.
Is it more orange than red or more red than orange, would you say?
Well, in incandescent, it goes more red, and in the daylight bulbs, it's more orange. And that's something that you do have to look at. When you look at gems, you get a gem in, you know, before you decide whether you like it, you know, check it in daylight or daylight colored bulbs. You know, the daylight covered bulbs are the ones that are more blue. And the incandescent is the more yellowy looking light that we typically use in a house. So those are the two lights you're going to typically run into. So take a look at it in both lights, because some stones change dramatically. This one changes quite a bit, but some stones, it's just night and day. I mean, you look at some tourmalines and, you know, what's pink in daylight, in incandescent, it goes more brownish. So check it in different lights and you'll see what these differences are. And this one definitely has some difference. It definitely goes more slightly peachy red as opposed to this more orange color. The lights we use in our photography are daylight bulbs. Often I wish I had both of them available. I could take a picture in both, and I'm sure I could set that up. It's just how much time you're going to take with photography. You start taking a half hour on each stone, and it's a limiting factor. So we get them the best we can, and this is definitely a good representation of what you'll see in daylight.
And then one other thing about the cutting, somebody mentioned that the facets didn't quite meet. You want to explain to them your rationale with perfect meets versus a polish?
Yeah, my goal is always perfect polish. That's what affects brilliance. Perfect meets have no effect. I mean, if you're, the issue with perfect meets is, if you're cutting synthetics, you can cut perfect meets all the time because you don't run into problems. When you're cutting a stone like this and you run into problems that you have to cut out, what that means when you're cutting is if you're going to get perfect meets, let's recut the whole thing because that's what it's going to take. As soon as you cut deeper on one facet, to get those perfect meets again, you're going to have to go back and cut maybe half of the stone again or all the stone. So you have to have some, you just can't be doing that all the time, as a commercial cutter. If you're cutting for a contest, yes, you go ahead and recut it all. But you start adding an hour here and an hour there, and you can quickly become non-profitable at your cutting. I'm not sure where the meets issue on this are, but I'm sure they're minor. And, that's the thing, getting a perfect polish is what will give the gem that sparkle. Where those facets meets is only for the people that are anal about everything and everything's got to meet perfectly, but you compare, even if these facets don't meet perfectly, they're better than 99% of every gem that's out there. So I have some leeway as far as that. You just can't be recutting everything constantly. Not only do you lose more weight, you just lose a huge amount of time to go back and recut everything to make them perfect. So. Now I'll have to look and see what wasn't perfect on this, but yeah.
It looks good. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice brilliance to it.
So, yeah, you'll see that makes very little. I don't know. Anyway, I believe you because yes, that is my philosophy on things is get them perfectly polished and get the meats the best you can get them, without being to do perfect meats, you will double the time of cutting is what's going to happen. What takes you, like a stone like this, takes you 3 hours. Getting them perfect is going to take you 6 hours, and you have to decide, are you competition cutting or are you trying to be a very high quality, not commercial cutter because we're beyond commercial cutting, but just very high quality cutting is what we're after. Not perfect. Sometimes they get perfect. If you don't run into problems, and I'm betting that was the issue with this because it's not 100% clean, that ran into issues. Sometimes things pop out of it and you fix them the best you can without recutting the entire gem. And up next is enamelite. This comes from our last trip to Alberta, Canada. Yeah, but just look at the colors, and the just a really, for amelite, just a really clean, beautifully colored gem.
Yeah, sorry, Phil. No hidden gems tonight. Steve decided to take an extra 5% off and release all of them at once. But stay tuned for the After Tucson show. There'll be some hidden
these
gems.
are the quality of stones. I wouldn't take 25 off typically. That's why we only did 20. When they're this high of quality stone, rarely do I take 25 off. So, but the beautiful colors in that, just that sheen of blue and the greens, and then having the red, nice big amylite. These are 70 million year old fossils, where the surface of the fossil was replaced with aragonite, which is the same material that forms a pearl. And they come only from Alberta, Canada. They're near Lethbridge and in Canada, and we, after mining sapphire, we took the 3-hour trip up into Canada to go mine for this. Our mining, which Michael had some pictures of it earlier, but our mining was pretty much unsuccessful. As they told us it would be. We had to do it anyway, but they said that time of year, everything on the surface had been pretty much picked out by mostly the local Indian tribe. So we had fun, but it was a really successful trip for buying, because while we were looking, we didn't see material like this. And then the timing was right that they just brought out a big batch of crystals that Michael bought. Not crystals.
They call them like palm specimens or palm
Yeah.
stones.
Because he'd picked out a bunch already, but I think it all went back after they brought out the new batch. And so it was really good timing for us. We got a lot of great material, and, being first pick is always a good thing.
Yeah, and James, they do. They stabilize the surface of these. I don't know exactly what they used when we were going through their shop. That was kind of a trade
it was
secret.
So, yeah.
They didn't
It's some
say,
kind of epoxy-like
right.
material.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how they get such a nice polish on it. I've tried to redo them, and I have some I have to send back to have some work done on, but they just do a beautiful job. So we had a sale.
Yes. Let you guys finish your little explanations here. So Mary picked up that brilliant cut Malaya garnet we were just talking about.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Mary.
Cool, bright color.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mary.
Yeah.
Malayas are my favorite of the garnets. Just real sporadic availability. And what people are calling Malayas, whether they're truly Malaya or not, they're not the colors that I expect. I'm looking more the peachy to orangish, reddish orange. And there's a lot of things I see being called Malaya that in my past knowledge of what Malaya was, I was around when Malaya first came out, and I have my impression of what Malaya is, and a lot of things that people are calling Malaya these days I don't agree with, but it's basically a type of material. A refractive index 176 is typically what Malaya is, as this one does grade as Malaya. But typically the color is really what does it for me and makes me call a gem Malaya. Malaya, if you don't know, is a Swahili word for lady of the evening, or out of the family is what the nicer translation is.
So
Yeah.
why did they say that, though? You should explain that.
When they were mining rhodolite, it was originally found in Kangala in Tanzania. I was buying a lot of rhodolite from Kangala because it was the best source, the finest rhodolite that had ever come out of the ground. We see material like it these days, but back then there was big gems that were lighter, what we would call umbellite now, was coming out of Kangala. Then they hit these stones, and it came into the market, and actually they were like rejects. That is why it was called Malaya, because they'd find it in the hole, they just throw it out. This is, crap. It's not worth owning. It wasn't what they were looking for. When I saw it, I thought it was the greatest thing on the planet. They were cheap. I'd even purchased some from a rough dealer when this just came out, because I'd seen it just a month before, and I was in Tucson, and he had the rough, and I pulled out all these Malayas. I was thrilled to death, and he thought, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he picking those stones? And then when I went back to pick them up, which I've learned, don't leave stones with somebody and go back and pick them up, they were no longer there. So that ended our relationship, because he found out that the value of those stones was greater than the value of the rhodolite garnets. And he just kind of said, I'm not going to sell them to you. So, but anyway, one of those bad relationships. All right, we had a sale again.
Oh, you're going in some long explanations here.
Sorry.
Trying to cut in
You're
here.
boring people into sales.
Yes, if you want Steve to stop speaking, then you can just
Buy something.
buy something. No, this is good. We're all learning here tonight. So Roger picked up, he went ahead as well, as we said you can.
Oh,
He went ahead and purchased the Brilliant Cut pear-shaped aquamarine, 3.67 carat.
oh, cool.
That's, yes, yeah.
3.6. That
Don't
was
see too much
the
aqua.
last stone in the show. So this one's all natural, no treatment. I mean, you could treat this and it'd become bluer, but you don't, because that's what aquamarine's supposed to be. Most of the aquamarine in the market is heated because the green that's in it typically will detract from the color, just make them look at this odd, muddy, greenish blue. But occasionally they come out of ground, and that little bit of green is attractive. And aquamarine is not meant to say it's blue; it's meant to say it's greenish blue, is what aquamarine typically was, because that is how they come out of the ground. We've learned to heat them, and they become more blue. I don't know what this would look like. I have some more of them. I probably should do and I may do that. You hate losing that natural color, but I'd really like to see just what happens to it. Sometimes in these gems, they'll get a deeper color once you heat them. So is there value in heating these? I'm thinking not, but because they're just attractive as they are. It's a great stone.
Yeah, and these we just picked up last year. I don't know, before then, had we ever had any
From
Zimbabwe?
Zimbabwe, not to my knowledge.
Oh, yeah, that was kind of a special thing to see, and something different.
Yeah, it's cool. And we've recently bought more aquas that are untreated. A lot of them from Madagascar, and Madagascar produces some great aquas also, but higher price than what this one is. For the comparable color, most other sources are half again as much as what this material from Zimbabwe was. So, thank you. All right, up next. Wait. I don't have any buttons, so.
That's all right. Everybody hear me still, Mike? They don't, but I can manually do it here. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, let's see. What should I talk about? Well, let's talk about the amount of rough that I have to cut. And this year's cutting is I went through and did a really overview of everything I've got. The amount of rough I've got is a little bit mind-boggling. I've got enough rough that if I cut all year, I'll get through 2% of all the rough I've got. But I've always looked at rough as being money in the bank, and it definitely has been, because the price of rough has gone up so significantly over the years that it's great stuff to own. And many of the things I have, you just buy it, and next year it's not available. We bought all this material from from Bahia, Brazil, the amethyst. We bought several kilos of it. You know, just knowing that the next year it's probably not going to be available, and that's exactly what happened. You know, I hope to see more material like that because I would store kilos and kilos of the Bahia amethyst because they cut colors second only to what came out of Rwanda. You know, Rwanda probably produced the finest, but that source lasted less than a year. So, you know, that's just so typical of this business. So up next is a sale. Well, you keep interrupting me with these sales, you know?
The amylite that we were just talking about. The amylite
The
gemstone.
fancy
The
cut.
56 karat amylite.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that had to go back in this show. I couldn't believe it didn't sell the last
that's
show
a
we
cool.
had.
That's a cool.
You know,
piece.
because it just the separation of the colors is so dramatic in that stone. Oh, I'm on the wrong stone. Sorry. Never mind.
Yes.
This one's great too.
The amylite. Yes.
I thought I was talking ametrine, amylite.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, that'll make a showpiece for you. Yeah, you wear that around your neck, and people are just going to be wanting to grab it all the time. You know, just a big enough piece that it's really a showpiece, and you know, really doesn't take anything to make it look better. So
She also wanted to know. She said it looked kind of blurry, but that opal we took a look at, or we showed earlier. Could you just show that one real quick again?
yeah, it's not easy to show with these cameras. I don't know what I could show it with best. Yeah, it looks blurry in that picture. I don't know. I bet the video online's probably better.
It's better if you show it now here.
Yeah, I mean, it's sharp and clear.
And then show it in that the face cam too.
Just, you know, this is a round tube light that this has, so it doesn't show them as sharp and defined as they are, but it shows the color pretty well. You know, but to get this dark base opal, you know, even in Ethiopia, this is a really small percentage of all the material that comes out. I mean, really, really small. You know, because this material that our supplier, we bought this last year, and we bought from him, and then he called me later. He said, "I got this shipment that has blacks in it. You know, I knew you'd like to see them," and so we did get blacks when we didn't think we were going to get any. But you can see how those colors just pop out of those cells. So they call that honeycomb for obvious reasons. Just the colors are intense and just throughout the whole gem. I say front and back. You know, the back's almost as pretty. I mean, you can see every color. You know, here's one place you see indigo, violets, blues, greens. At 90 some bucks a carat, this one's too cheap. Cool stuff. All right, up next. This is a phenomenal blue sapphire. Just high clarity for sapphire and just fabulous color, you know, and just brilliant throughout. No, this is heat. If this were no heat, it'd be 50, 60, 70 grand. Huh? Yeah, I was going to look it up in the guide. The difference between heat and no heat is just like moon money. Or Mars money. What's it's going to be the Doge coin or what?
Dogecoin money.
So blue sapphire. Unenhanced. 5 carat plus. Wholesale at 15,000 a carat. So what's that end up? 15,000 is 75,000, 80,000. As compared to 6,700. So not quite 3 times as much for unheated, but it is a dramatic difference. So, a really spectacular sapphire. Beautifully cut. And this one, I really should get it certified GIA. This comes from Madagascar.
Jeffrey, we accept Dogecoin yet? Right.
But I think it's just still too volatile to,
Well, you can buy it. You can buy and sell it, right?
You can,
Same
but
day,
one
same
day
minute.
you could have issues with
Yeah,
it.
but you could sell it same minute.
I think, and that was something. But then you had to pay like the Mike. You know about all the fees and everything. So.
Yeah. What would the fees be? We don't know. Okay.
I don't think we'll get enough from that
So probably less than credit card fees.
for a piece like this. Yes, if someone wants to give us Bitcoin for this sapphire.
We'll
I
work
think
it
We
out.
could chat afterwards, I guess. All right.
So I say this comes from Madagascar via Sri Lanka. Our sapphire suppliers in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is known as the gem island. Madagascar is the vanilla island. But Madagascar produced a lot of sapphires. And it's the reason I started traveling to Madagascar back in the early 2000s, because they just hit a pocket of material in Ilakaka, Madagascar, that changed the whole sapphire market at that time. So they still produce a lot of material, not as much from Ilakaka, but other sources are producing. So, and hopefully sometime we'll get a chance to get back to Madagascar. Probably my favorite gem source on the planet. So this one is appraised value of $49,000. Our price online $27,900, and with the 20% off, it is $22,320, or just under $4,000 a carat. Just really is a special color. You ought to see it in daylight. It's just incredible. Great ring. Yeah, great stone. Yeah, not too dark. Yeah, it's the perfect color for sure. Because fine sapphires are often a little too dark, kind of like fine tanzanites. The ones that have the most remarkable colors are often just don't show the brilliance that you would like. Occasionally you get those stones that are perfect color and perfect brilliance, and this is one of those. Nice square cushion. Just really make a fabulous ring. What an engagement ring. Oh my God. Something with the durability that sapphire has. Sapphire is actually more durable. It is tougher than a diamond. Not as hard, of course, but it is very hard. So it takes a lot of abuse and its toughness is excellent, whereas diamond toughness is not excellent. You can fracture a diamond in half with the wrong blow, whereas a sapphire, that just doesn't happen. Incredible stone. All right, next up, another rarity. This is a fancy color tanzanite. This material came out maybe 2 years ago, which I bought a parcel. And on our trip to Tanzania, they said this was a one-time shot, and it was there and gone. Because previous to that, greens I'd heard about back in the 1980s, but really had never seen them. So this is a supply that reached the market here just a few years back, and so typically not a color that's available in tanzanite. These are unheated. You can heat them, and they come out a really unique and pretty green, but we're going to keep it as a natural, or they come out blue. Just a soft blue color that typically isn't available in tanzanite either. I'll probably cut something in a green. I don't like the green, and we'll heat it, and you may see one then. But this is pretty as it is. It's natural color, and it's a stone of great rarity. You'll see more stones from us because I probably have another 30 pieces of rough to cut. 1.77 carats. It has an appraised value, but there's nothing to base that on. If we based it on rarity in tanzanite, it'd be significantly more. But our price online is $1,390. And this tanzanite is $1,112 or $628 a carat. Again, another true rarity in this market. Lost another one.
It's 3 today, Steve.
Well, that's been my week. Come on, focus.
Camera wants your face.
Did it help?
Put it in front of you.
Okay. So again, another nice size for a ring. On this stone, I did a Barian style emerald cut, or a little bit cushiony. And I'm betting the meats are near perfect on this one. Up next, this is a zircon with the color that we wish all zircon was. This comes from Cambodia. Just a deep, vivid blue-green. Probably. Although the stone's a little deeper color than what that video shows. Blue greens are particularly difficult. So this is more indicative of what the depth of color is. Get the water spot off it. So the camera will kind of separate out the blue and green that's in the stone, but it's more kind of mixed is what it is, so it's just a unique blue-green, greenish-blue color. You see solid greens over there, but it doesn't show that way. It just shows those two colors mixed. The camera, for some reason, wants to separate those. But it's really a beautiful stone. It's a big stone for blue zircon. Not easy to find them this kind of size. Praise value on this is $10,970. Our price online is $49.50. And this stone is, with the 20 off, it's $39.60 or $300 a carat. The big benefit of blue zircon is its brilliance. It has a high refractive index, giving it just a huge amount of sparkle.
I even like the view from the side of the stone. It's really, it's like I'd want to show that off too.
And from this picture, I think if you add just a little bit of green to it, it's really what the stone is. Is that showing good? So, blue zircon from Cambodia. And it's been a couple of years since we've been able to get big ones. We bought our supplier. We bought quite a few small 3-4 caraters, but I don't think we got anything 10 carat plus last year.
No, we'll have to look this year and see. When we're going through these stones now, we've been a little bit more selective. So Steve doesn't have to do as many repairs because a lot of the stones, you find a great stone, but the cut's not right, or there's a big chips out of the facet junctions, which is a big pain, and it kind of sucks. You find a good stone, and then it's like, oh, there's chips all over the place.
Yeah, let's spend another 2-3 hours repairing it.
So finding the stuff. I mean, some things are worth it. Of course, but other times it's more of a challenge especially with smaller stones. I guess if it was a big enough stone and fine enough color, we'd get over that and then you fix it. But
you just treat it as a piece of rough and recut the whole thing. But
yeah,
just the nature of cutting in the world is relatively poor quality, and the way they store them. The tanzanites come in bags of 100 of them. You got stones that are worth $2,000-$3,000, and they put 50 of them in a bag. Really? No wonder they're chipped. It just drives me nuts. Okay, we had a sale.
We do.
Well, what was it?
All right. Michelle picked up the Moriarty. It's Moriarty, right?
Marilani mint.
Garnet that you talked about earlier. That's a cool mint color.
All right, great.
Very nice. Thanks, Michelle. Yep. Yeah, those are beautiful stones. The greens are just amazing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also like, as far as the birthstone for garnet. At least people I talk to, they're always thinking they just come in red.
Yeah,
there's so many cool
garnets. Yeah, still that's what they believe, and those are always the cheapest ones. Every other color is much more valued, but and they only think they're red because all those other colors, the rarity is so high that you see them so seldom. All right, up next is an amazing tanzanite. This stone has everything. Weighs 34.75 carats. It is just like I don't know if I'd call it like it's kind of like what we would expect from cashmere sapphire, that intense blue color with the violet overtones. and the big thing about this stone is the amount of red flash in it is incredible.
Jeffrey, Steve's talking about red flash.
Yeah, I know.
Steve's
Well,
talking about the red flash.
Yeah,
Should I put red flash on there?
Yeah. It used to be so rare that if you talked about it and that's all people wanted, it's still rare, but we see it more often these days, or at least I do. It only comes in the highest quality stones, and maybe it's in 20% of the stone that you actually see red flash in. But on these shows, I don't mind talk about it. I don't generally put it in the description of stones because it does create that, I want a 2-carat stone, but I want some red flash in it. Well, good luck. That doesn't exist, so you only really see it in bigger stones, stones in that 5-carat plus, and then it's still a rarity, and in the picture on screen, you can start to see the red flash. It shows not generally as intense reds in here, but the colors are just a bright red color. Exactly what causes it, I'm not sure, but if you look at the finest tanzanite crystals and you look down the C-axis, it'll often be red in color.
And looking at my little keyword tool, there's about 200 people that search for tanzanite with the red flash each month.
Yeah,
They're out there, but
yeah, the lookers are out there, but find them
finding
is the tough thing.
I think that's what you answered. They want to buy the smaller tanzanite with that red flash.
Yeah. It only comes in these really, really intense colors, and small stones typically do not come with this kind of intensity of color.
I think when we were in Kenya, we picked up one small stone that was just like, it was, I don't know, something special about it. I don't know if you remember that stone, but it was probably maybe a 2-3 carat.
Yeah.
But it did have some deep colors, which was very unusual. Red flash, I don't know, but it would be the stone that would have it in that size. But that was sold a while back.
Yeah, you typically can't get small stones with the depth of color required to get red flash out of it. You can start to see them. They look more violet than red in this camera. But you can. But this is a great stone. It gets a 970 rating, and there's few stones that get that kind of rating. The cutting is really, really nice and completely clean and just top color.
This one you said it's almost like a color changer because it's
Uh-huh.
in incandescent versus fluorescent. You'll see the incandescent light, you'll see a lot of violet. Fluorescent lighting, it'll go blue. So, if you're going back and forth, you'll be amazed at the different look that the stone will have, which is what you're looking for in tanzanite. I mean, the best of them, in my opinion, is the ones that do have that purple to blue when you're looking into those different light sources.
Yeah, and I looked at this one today, and it's just blue in daylight. Again, that cashmere sapphire blue. All right, next up, new material out of Madagascar. This is really just the last year that they've started producing facet grade rainbow moonstone. Rainbow moonstone has been produced for quite a few years, but they're milky enough that they're not really, faceting doesn't do anything for them. these are just totally transparent, and just look at the colors. They're just phenomenal, the amount of colors that are in them and being as transparent as they are. You know, then if you catch them right, you'll see that sheen that's typical of moonstone right there. Just really, really a special gem. Weighs 5.81 carats, which in this material is a pretty big stone.
Now, I want to say that what you're seeing is a little more intense than the eye in this camera. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't expect to see quite this much color, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this camera has enhanced it.
Right.
You know, I think if I saw one like this, I'd raise the price another $1,000.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but the colors are all there.
Right. Just a little more muted.
Yeah. A good point. Yes. Sometimes the cameras do more than they should. But a little under accurate, but yes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sometimes we have that same problem with opals. Thank you, Michael. So weighs 5.81 carats, no appraised value, new material. Nobody's put a price, wholesale price on the material. $29.25 is our price online, and with 20 off, it's $2,340, $404 a carat. But totally unique material. I mean, all my time in business, this has not existed. We'll see how long it lasts, whether it was a single pocket of material or there's more. You know, time will tell.
Yeah, I think we saw it. It was about 2 years ago.
Was the first?
Yeah, first, because that's what I was wondering. Because when it came out, it was kind of like, do we buy it now or wait and see if there's going to be more material coming out of the market? And I think in Hong Kong we saw a little bit more. It was more cut, and we saw some rough. So we'll see what happens in Tucson this year and see if there's more. But I mean, it wasn't a ton of it, but a couple of suppliers had. They were selling probably by the kilo. I don't know what there was. Do you remember seeing the rough? It had to be at least 2 kilo, but they were just, it was for the lot.
Just a lot of money.
Yeah, and no selection, so we couldn't buy any.
Yeah, and and it's material. When all this rainbow moonstone started coming out, I thought, rainbow moonstone, how can it be worth that kind of money? But like many things, you come to realization of, that's what it is, and that's what the market is. So whatever you think about the material, I just remember moonstone. I had cat's eye moonstones. It was $20 a carat, or that goes back 25 years. But just gave me low respect for moonstone. But they're not the same as this, and the rarity of rainbow moonstone is much more dramatic than just the cat's eyes or regular moonstone that are just blue adulorescent. You can find that material regularly, whereas the rainbow moonstone is a rarity. Come on. Rainbow Moonstone from Madagascar. And one other thing I wanted to mention, I showed this earlier. We cut this stone and, I get constant comments about, oh, you started with 700 carats and only got a 300 carat out of it. What'd you do with the rest of it? Unfortunately, it turns into dust. The people just can't understand that it just seems such a waste to get rid of 400 carats of material to get a 300 carat stone. But when you cut stones, the average yield on cut stone is about 35%. That's if you're doing well. I mean, occasionally I can often hit 40-45% on a good piece of rough. But then there's stones like I just talked with a friend. He'd sent me a piece of rough and, wondered why I didn't buy it. And, I was worried about the yield, and he went ahead and cut it and showed me what he got. And his yield was actually about 18%. It actually worked out money-wise, would have been okay, but that's a pretty low percentage yield, but not unusual in this business. You're never going to hit more than 50%, except in a piece of rough that looks like the finished stone, which is the case of tourmaline, like the next one coming up. This you can get 50-60% because the rough looks like a pencil. So it gives you very, very high yields. But typically you're doing good if you hit 35-40% of what you started with. So a 700 carat, if you hit 40%, it's 280 carats, so I did well on that particular morganite.
And Steve, maybe before you get into this one, you want to tell our viewers about Alice's show?
Oh, yeah. So upcoming, Alice does a show called Alice in Gemland. That's correct, right? So Alice, go ahead. Tell us about your show.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, I'm Alice, and I am the graduate gemologist here at Moriarty's Gem Art, and I am the host of Alice in Gemland, where we debut the newly designed and pieces that we've made, so you can be the first ones to see them before they hit the website. So when you're looking at our YouTube at More Gems, take a look and click notify me so you know when my upcoming show is, and I hope to see you all there. Back to you, Steve.
All right, well, stop by and see Alice. She's pleasant to look at and has lots of knowledge. She's a graduate gemologist with GIA, and she'll give you some good information about the new pieces we make. So our next gem is a tourmaline. This one does come from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Like we mentioned earlier, there is little production coming out at this time.
This one, me and you just, neither of us recognized it.
It just showed up.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
You cut it, and we've had it for a while. I think Chris was
had
going to
it.
do a design with it.
Yeah,
but,
he must have grabbed it right away and was going to work something up for it. And it was kind of a surprise. Where'd that come from? But anyway.
Yeah, he didn't get around to it, so we thought we'd offer
it. Made the show. So it's 11.98 carat emerald cut tourmaline from the Congo. Just a really pretty color. And again, that long shape, just makes a cool looking piece when you're done with it. You can set it plain, accent the side, accent the top, pendant, ring. It just makes a different looking piece. Measures just longer than an inch. appraised price of $2,980. Our online price is $1,990. And with the 20% off, it is $1,592 or $133 a carat. Get the angle right on it.
I think we need a neck for some of these
Difficulty.
as well.
Do what?
We need a neck, little. We probably have one somewhere here for some of these longer pieces that may look good in a pendant. We got handy.
It's probably best as a pendant. Just 23 millimeters. I mean, it can go as a ring. If you like big rings, it'll set up nicely as a ring.
Put it on Jeff's neck there, or does it go behind him?
I can't do that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Maybe put it on his head. Make a crown out of it or something.
Yeah, a different one. We got handy, so this could be called necky.
Becky.
All right.
It's just a head and a neck.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's get to this.
All right, let's get to a sale. That sounds good.
Martha picked up that amazing moonstone you were just talking about.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thanks,
yeah, that's a great
Martha.
stone.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely unique in all the business.
Was
For
that
sure.
I didn't overhear, but was that from Hong Kong or from Thailand that we looked at those?
We were in Thailand.
Was it Thailand?
Yeah, those were. I think we had fun, even though we were sick half the trip. But
Well, Michael's the one that started that.
yeah,
And I was okay, but then I got food poisoning in China. That was no fun.
yeah, he went into mainland China and ate the wrong stuff. And
I thought I was being safe. I honestly do.
would you go to McDonald's or something?
Well, yeah, because you think that'd be safe, but they had like Szechuan chicken strips, which were really spicy.
Yeah.
I stayed away from the street food because I exactly did not want that to happen. Because I had a hour and a half cab ride and then a 3.5 hour train ride to get back to Hong Kong, and yeah, I was sick the whole time.
Yeah.
But hey,
Been there, done that.
Yep. Always
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, it's part of travel.
Yes.
So, all right, up next there, Michael.
And real quick,
Uh-huh.
do we have any more rainbow moonstones? I know we bought a
We got
parcel
some
of-
smaller ones.
We got some
We got
small.
2 smaller ones, and I think there's a cab.
Okay, the
in the
2
show.
smaller faceted stones. Are those
Yes.
online or are they?
Yeah, should be.
So, there's a couple of people chatting about, they were interested in that one. So check on MoreGems.com. There may be a couple smaller ones. It
Yeah,
won't be-
I'll post. I'll link to them right now,
Okay.
and then they could take a look.
They won't be the 20% off,
Yeah.
but they're on there. You could take a look, and then if you have any interest, just give us a call tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll work with you. So, all right. Next up is another amazing sapphire. I've never seen such an orange color in a sapphire. This thing is intense. It weighs just over 3 carats. High clarity. It's a VS1 clarity. And the appraised price is $17,150. Our price online is $84.90. And with the 20% off, it's $67.92 or just under $2,200 a carat. Just beautifully cut, brilliant stone. And again, in my time in business, I've never owned a stone so orange.
This one, you didn't have a locality. I wasn't sure whether it was Madagascar or Sri Lanka.
Well, it's probably Madagascar. Is that what's on there? Yeah. Madagascar just produces some amazing colors and sapphires. As Sri Lanka does too. Sri Lanka produces as many colors and has produced a huge amount of sapphires. But since the early 2000s, Madagascar has been probably the primary source for sapphire. But really intense color. You know, again, this camera wants to separate the two colors that make the orange color in this, but it's just all orange. You know, it doesn't have the yellow highlights. It's orange, orange, orange. I don't know of another stone that comes as orange. Spessartites get close. You think of anything else that's this kind of orange? Yeah, not the same. Fire opal's different color. Yeah, you know, fire opal's different. It's orange, but different. Yeah. So just really, really brilliant stone. Yeah. It gets close. Yeah, sphalerite would be the closest, you know, and would have a brilliance like this or even exceeding this just because the sphalerite is high refractive index and yeah, but it's really reddish orange or it's different, you know, but it's definitely, there are some orange ones, but no durability. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah. Mordor. The gem of Mordor.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I think that was Was it Sauron? The Eye of Sauron.
Ah, this is the Eye of Sauron.
Who knows what is Mordor? That was a place, I think, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be somebody in chat that's like a Lord of the Rings fan. Frodo, yeah, Frodo had to throw the ring.
Throw the ring.
He
Yeah.
didn't want to. Him and Bilbo. What? Yeah, he was the Hobbit. Bilbo Baggins. He gave Frodo the ring. I don't think Bilbo wanted to give Frodo the ring either. They're all little guys.
So anyway, back to the stone. It really is special sapphire. You know, just a remarkably nicely cut, just so brilliant and such a unique color. This sapphire is 17,150 appraised price, $84.90. I think I went through this, didn't I? Sure. Whoops. Lost it there. You just see how brilliant it is. Whoop. Great stone. All right, up next is another opal. And this for a white is just freaking amazing. Often you see color like that in an opal. Just solid fire. Another one that displays the entire rainbow. One of those, it doesn't require a black backing to make it show its colors better. Nice milky white with super play of color. Not a dead spot in the entire gem. Oop. Hey, at 74, your hands don't work quite as well. Doesn't show the colors as well, but man, you get this in sunlight. It is just incredible. Sunlight is these opals' best friend. This one weighs 16.10 carats. Comes to us from Ethiopia. Praise price, who knows? $1,590 is our price online. And with the 20% off, it's $1,272. $79 a carat. Really? Whose idea was that? What do you get for $79 a carat? Not the finest opal on the planet, which, yes, everybody from Australia, you can make comments. But fine color like that in Australia, and it's going to cost you $600, $700, $800, $900 a carat. It's just the nature of the material there.
And Steve, Max wants to know, of the two opals that we've shown tonight so far, which do you prefer? Do you have a preference?
From the black to this?
Yes.
Well, no, I have no preference.
Right.
Yes, none. I just prefer just seeing the amount of colors these have, and they all thrill me to death.
They both have their own unique characteristics.
Yeah,
the other one had that honeycomb pattern. This one's got that really tight color play everywhere, all the time kind of thing.
Yeah, they're both special stones. If that black one had as much color over the whole stone as this one did, it would have affected the price of that, because you just don't see it in blacks like this. They're both special stones. I have many opals, and I just put, this show is about the best of the best, and these are two stones that fit that category. Either one of them, and just thrilled to own them, and just amazed that they're not much more expensive than they are. And it's a big stone, to make a great pendant. And that's the one thing I get comments about is, when people wear them, they get so many comments from people, because you just don't see opals with this kind of player color in them. Next up is a titanite, or sphene, as it's more commonly known. Sphene is special because of its dispersion, which is a breakable white light in the spectral colors. It does it extremely well. As you rotate it, you can see all the different colors in it. Diamond does the same thing, but it doesn't do it to this dramatic of kind of effect. So this sphene is one of the other gems we got that comes from Zimbabwe. Recently we've seen material out of Madagascar. That supply has dwindled significantly in bigger stones, and Zimbabwe kind of filled the void. This one weighs 5.13 carats. No appraised price, just a rare enough stone that doesn't come up in enough to make the books. But our price on it is $1,390. With the 20% off, it's $1,112 or $217 a carat. Sphene from Zimbabwe.
And James brought up a good point. These stones are a little bit more delicate than many of the stones that we showed tonight, so we recommend only pendants for these gems.
Or rings you want to wear one day.
Yes. Or if you just...
Because I see some of the shopping clubs putting them in rings, and I go, oh my God, they even put apatite in rings. And it's like, if I put an apatite in a plastic bag, I'm lucky it doesn't come out of there with some scratch on it or something. They just won't hold up to abuse. But independent, it's the place to wear a sphene. I'll show it on hand, but don't put it on hand. Sphene from Zimbabwe. Next stone is tanzanite. And this is a high percentage blue stone. So it gives you pretty much a look of a sapphire typically. Nicely cut. Another stone that's going to exhibit red flash, which is less common in the more blue stones. Got to quit talking about that. Just a beautiful color. It's 30% violet, 70% blue. Really nice brilliance. I've given a rating of 966 out of 1,000.
Can you briefly talk about for those that are new watching, your ratings on tanzanites out of 1,000?
Okay. I break it down into 3 categories. The cut, and when I grade cutting, it's not quite like diamond cutting, which diamond cutting is much higher perfection than colored stones. I give it some lenience as far as knowing what the colored stone market and how they're cut. But cutting is probably what affects most of these stones the most. Like this stone has a very high color rating. It's probably at least a 970 color rating. Cutting wise, it's probably a 920, and then $1,000 clarity wise because it's completely clean. Although it has an excellent cut rating, and that's the only reason that it would get a 966, because cut can affect these stones very, very significantly. And the stones that I have that are under 950, it's often the cut that does that, because I'm very selective on the color and the clarity of the stones. But cutting has a big effect on the ratings. And if you look at this, the meats are probably not perfect, but they're very, very good. And that's why it got an excellent cut rating. You can see the meats are there. The biggest problem in tanzanite is the polish, which overseas cutting, invariably the polish is the weak point on these stones. It's common to have minor chips and abrasions on tanzanites, but this stone is just really well cut and So therefore, it got a 966 rating, which is probably the top 5% of everything I have will get in a 960 or better. You know, I often tell people if they're looking at investment, look at the stones that are at least 950s. So the stone $79.90 is appraise price. $46.20 is our price online, and with the 20% off, it's $36.96 or $496 a carat. Coming into focus. But another stone, it's going to look like a sapphire in daylight, you know, like a very, very fine sapphire. Probably for about 10% of the value of a sapphire. I should say price, not value. I think the value is in tanzanite, you know, just the kind of color you get compared to sapphire for the price. You know, you just get a beautiful look for a small percentage of the price. Because a fine 7-carat sapphire, heat treated, you're looking at about $6,500 a carat wholesale. So you're looking at 10 times the price for a sapphire of this quality. Nothing against sapphire, but you know, most of us can't afford it. Up next is a tourmaline, just a really pretty color in tourmaline. Slightly blue-green. This one comes from Nigeria, which we just got some natural light blue topaz from Nigeria that we'll be cutting in the near future. Got to cut very light blue, but cut right, it's going to be beautiful, and they're big stones. You know, one of them is going to cut one of those morganite-sized stones, 200-300 carat. Once I have time, it's as much for fun as it is to produce something beautiful, because you don't need the most intense color. If you cut them right, it can be remarkably beautiful, even in a very light colored stone. But having a blue topaz that's natural is kind of an unusual thing. But back to this tourmaline. This comes from Nigeria. Likely heat treated. I don't know for sure the status of this stone, but much of the tourmaline is heated, although most of the material that came out of Congo was not heated. But most of those were light color out of the ground. Stones like this would have been heat treated because they were overly dark to start, and the heat treatment lightens up the color. Praise price on this, $1,800. Our price online, $1,130. With the 20 off, it's $904 or $200 a carat. And unique stone to make a cool ring. Oh.
And for those of you who are just joining us, or you've been watching the entire night, we'd love it if you gave us a thumbs up, a like on the video. And if you haven't already, subscribe. You'll see whenever we post new videos of jewelry, informational videos, Steve's cutting videos, and other interesting content like that. So, yeah, feel free to subscribe if you haven't.
Get it to focus. Parallelogram. Is that what we listed it as? Yeah. Tourmaline from Nigeria. Next up, really special stone from Pakistan. Big peridot. Weighs 18 karat. You can see the Ludwigite crystal that's in it. This is common in these lighter green. I'm not sure if they all, that this light green will typically have those Ludwigite needles in them. But when you look at it in person, difficult to see, unlike this video that shows them out dramatically. It is not something that'll be the obvious look in this stone.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that's only in material from Pakistan, like the material that was coming out of Tanzania recently. That didn't have the Ludwigite crystals.
Right. Not that I've seen. Yeah, I'm not sure what Ludwigite is made of, but whatever the elements were was unique to this particular source. And the color is kind of unique, although the Gogo peridot from Tanzania is similar color. Just a lighter minty green color in this material.
And that's kind of how you'd see it. You don't really see those needles
Right.
in person. So in our cameras, there it's so zoomed in that you see it. But
Yeah, this is what you're going to see.
right.
I cut a 77 karat. I've mentioned on the show before that went to a very rich collector who called me and said, "This is my favorite gem in my collection." He had 5 karat blue diamonds, and he just had quite an assortment. And it had a lot of Ludwigite crystals in it, but they're just not obvious. They're just a highlight in the stone. But that's just a beautifully brilliant gem and big peridot. This one appraises at $14,660. Our online price $89.30, and with the 20 off, it's $71.44 or $394 a carat.
I've got a couple big crystals in the back still that one of these days I'll cut, but not quite confident enough of mapping that. But yeah, we'll cut some pretty big pieces.
Pretty peridot.
I just wanted to cut in here because I know there's a lot of new people watching, and I usually jump in a little bit more than this. But if you are interested in buying anything here during the show, you can go to MoreGems.com and click on the green banner at the top of the page or the big image on the homepage. That'll take you to the collection of all the 20% off gemstones. We're talking about a lot of them tonight, but there's many more listed there that we just don't have time to talk. We'll be here till probably 3 a.m. then. So if you do like any of those, you do get 20% off that list price. So just add it to your cart. They're all one of a kind. So if you like it, I'd pick it up and put in the coupon code New Year at checkout, and that'll take 20% off that price. We do offer credit cards, we do offer PayPal, and we do even have financing through a firm. So all those options to you. And of course, if you have any questions or want to see something that we showcased earlier, maybe you want to see it again, just ask. And if you also are logged into YouTube or Google, there's a lively conversation going on there. So you can pop in there, ask questions, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. Thanks.
And typically 20% is more than we offer on these stones. We're just headed to Tucson, and it's always nice to have a little extra money to go with and make my wife feel happier about me spending money.
Yeah, and I think we're only going through about 32 stones tonight, and I think there's 67 stones in the collection. So there are 2 pages. So if you make it to the bottom of the page, make sure you click on page 2 because there'll be more that show up.
And I just picked the best of what we've got, and these are world-class gems. You know, there's rarely a better gem out there than what we're showing tonight. And that includes this next one, which is another tanzanite. This, again, just remarkable sapphire blue. This one, I had all these tanzanites out in the daylight today, and this one was just the softest, most beautiful blue color. Much like the picture of what's online. I mean, it's just like the finest of sapphires. It weighs 15.16 carat. And I think I probably bought this one a few years back with the intention. I knew I had to recut some of it. And finally, I looked at it. I said, I guess it's time to sit down and repair what the issues it had. So I took care of it, and now it's available for sale. Price is $18,360. Our online price is $10,900. And with the 20% off, it is $8,720 or $575 a carat. This has a high rating of 970 out of 1,000. So the cut's right. The clarity it's flawless. Well, I don't grade flawless. My highest rating is VS1 because grading flawless is a big commitment and a big commitment of time to really figure out if a stone is totally free of flaws. So VS1 will be our highest rating. This one's 85% blue, 15% violet. Again, much like what we would expect from a cashmere sapphire. Probably a little big for a ring, but well, we've made rings bigger. But deep color and just still retaining extreme brilliance. You know, it's the issue with both sapphires and tanzanite. Once you get into these really deep colors, keeping a brilliance throughout the stone. In the case of ovals, towards the end of the stone is where usually it gets dark. But this stone's cut right and is just lively throughout.
So with you talk about cutting, Steve. Trey wanted to know, he said, always a pleasure to see your fine stones. Fascinating question. What speed and compounds do you use to polish corundum?
Speed?
Speed and compounds.
Well, I finish with 50,000 diamond. Depending on the size of it, I actually start with a less coarse grit. I just cut a sapphire, and I started with 1,200 grit because they tend to pull, particularly heated sapphires, it tends to pull up pretty big chunks out of the surface. So starting with a finer grit is helpful. You definitely have to take a few extra steps on the pre-polish. Ideally, I would go probably, I might start with a 600 if it's a bigger piece of rough that has a lot of material to be removed. Go to a 1200 steel, and then I do a 600 lightning lap, which probably cuts like an 1800. You probably should then go to at least a 3000 grit and then the 5000 polish. I tend to skip the 3000 grit, take a little extra time to polish from the lightning lap to the 50,000, but that 3,000 in between, probably on a bat lap, is a good choice. 50,000. 50,000 final polish. Yeah, 50,000 diamond grit on a bat lap.
All right, thank you. One more question, and keep the questions coming out throughout the show. If we don't get to them, we'll get to them at the end of the show. But Max wanted to know about tanzanite. Has it gone up in price over the last 4 years or so, or how's the market?
It's gone up slightly, but we're looking at 10% kind of increase. It took a little jump, a little higher jump for a little while, but it backed down a little bit. So that's about the change in the last 4 years. We thought we might see a bigger change because while we were there was so little available. We were kind of afraid that it was the end at the time, but it's still coming out, and price hasn't changed much. So steady market is probably the best thing. You like to see things going up sometimes if you own a lot of material, but for us, having a steady market is by far the best choice. So hopefully it stays where it's at, but it's not going to last forever. So this is one of the amethyst that came out of Bahia, Brazil, just 3 years ago. 3 years ago now.
I was just looking at the pictures. 2 or 3 years ago.
But this material is some of the finest that's ever come out of the ground. Like I mentioned, maybe the material out of Rwanda, out of one of the mines in Rwanda, produced a more dramatic, unique color. But this material out of Bahia, Brazil, is generally, in what's been available for the last 50 years, is as good a quality as you would typically see. We bought 3 kilos of it back in whatever the year was. And we hope to see more. Our Brazilian supplier we'll see next week. And we always make sure we get together with him before the show starts. And, I say he had 50 kilos of it that we went through, sat and looked through this stuff for no less than 4 hours because it was such great material. You just didn't want to miss a good gem. So we pretty much high graded all that 50 kilos and, ended up with 3 kilos of it that we're just thrilled to have. This will be world-class amethyst. There won't likely be anything better coming out of the ground in the rest of my time in business. So this is a 17-karat Portuguese cut. It's Portuguese pavilion, a step-cut crown. Linda Terry, who cuts here occasionally, cut this stone and just ended up with just a beautiful gem. This combination of that Portuguese style pavilion, no matter what you do on the crown, it typically works well. So a good combination cut. It's one that's unique for us. So this one weighs 17.28 carats. Appraised price of $2,250. Our price online is $10,020, and with the 20% off, it's $816 or $47 a carat. Probably one of the finest gems for the money. You know, you get a top quality stone for a very low price compared to other gems. Just good, lively gem. Bahia, Brazil. You can look for a lot more from us in the future. I think this is part of, no, that's the amateur. This is probably 1.5 kilos of it. It's hard to show. So that's kind of what the rough looks like. It's really, really beautiful color. Strongly dichroic colors. Just nice, big, clean rough.
And if anybody out there is interested in mineral specimens of crystals, I've got one, like just a giant amethyst point from Bahia, Brazil, on my website, MoreGems.com. It's probably got facet rough in there that's more valuable than the crystal for sure. But it's a really cool piece. But I've got one of those left. I always hope to see more of those. And when they're out there, we pick them up. The problem is a lot of them are polished, and I'm not really too into the polish. But the time that we went out there, we found the natural crystal points, which were really neat. And being so clean and such deep color was exciting to get.
And next gem up is a really, really fine aqua. Whether this, it probably categorizes as Santa Maria color. You know, that's kind of subjective, but just very, it's Santa Maria color. Santa Maria was a mine in Brazil that produced this deeper color. This particular one's from Madagascar, but Santa Maria is just famed for the quality of the aquamarine that came out of there. So this one weighs 9.33 carats, antique cushion, just really nicely cut. Appraised value $10,100. $58.50 is our price online, and with the 20% off, it is $46.80 or $502 a carat. Aquamarine is another one of those gems that has over the past 6-7 years has gone up fairly significantly. You know, the availability has been much more limited. Madagascar used to produce a huge quantity of material, and it's just not producing like it once did. And Brazil definitely is not producing like it did. But beautiful color, really great brilliance considering the low refractive index of beryl. So this is beryl like emerald and morganite, goshenite, all the same gem material. But very, very beautiful aquamarine. Big advantage of aqua is its hardness, just a really hard gem, so it'll take a lot of abuse. So rings are a good choice for it. Also make a nice pendant. that color. Yeah, I don't often get aquas of this depth of color. We get this in Bangkok.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, either bank. It was when we were in Asia for sure.
So not too big for a ring, but wow, that's really a special aqua. Up next is another green tourmaline. I like this one for it does have a nice separation of colors. A little more yellowy green down the center and more blue green in the tips. I did. Weighs 7.71 carats. One of those stones from the Congo. So natural, unheated color. Tourmalines are strongly dichroic, particularly the difference between the C-axis and the AB axis is significant. And this, probably the blue-green is coming down the C-axis and the yellow-green is the AB axis.
Did Congo ever produce any chrome tourmalines that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of. You know, still chrome is 99.9% Tanzania. So the price on this $77.10, $29.90 is our online price. And with the 20% off, it's $2,392 or $310 a carat. Oh, I did not. What did I do without you reminding me?
I know. You remember the hand. Jeffrey still wants Necky.
Necky.
Oh,
Well, we do have Neckies over there. I don't know where we'll put her. It's just really pretty green tourmaline. Where's this? Next is another special sapphire. Big and, again, one of those colors that I've never owned. Can't recall ever seeing it this intense of fuchsia color. Again, high clarity, really well cut stone, and just very, very brilliant. But the color, I don't see too many stones this color. Another one. What can I think of that's this color?
I mean, maybe purple garnet, if even.
The one we got sold in Tanzania is a spinel. Yeah, and it turned out to be a garnet. It is kind of this color, which is rare, but it's not rare like spinel. So just very rare color throughout the entire business. And for sapphire.
And the color that it's shown here isn't, it's better than that.
Yeah, it's more like the picture online. Yeah, it's more intense, less purpley, more fuchsia Yeah, I think what's online is more accurate. Yeah, you're right. And the picture even more accurate than that. Yeah, it's just really, really intense fuchsia. I think fuchsia is the right description. Yeah, and that's not accurate at all. But the brilliance is accurate. Just very brilliant stone, and just the intensity is so much greater. Another one, what an engagement ring that would make. Now that all the young kids are buying synthetic diamonds these days, I think color is the natural place to go with engagement rings. Set yourself apart and get something extremely rare. And in the case of sapphire, just very, very durable gem that'll hold up in an engagement ring. So price $26,900, $14,750 is our price online. And with the 20 off, it's $11,800 or $2,878 a carat. And our next stone is a Savarite. Close to a Marilani mint. I wonder if it fluoresces. It does. So, fluorescence is not a good separation of Savarite. Either that or this is a dark colored Marilani mint, But to me, it's a Savarite. I bought it as Savarite, and I agree that the intensity of color takes it beyond of what Marilani mint is, although the colors are very similar. This is a light Savarite or a very, very dark Marilani mint garnet, because they're both grossulars. So what the exact separation is, I will try and find out for our next show. Question for Tucson. So this one weighs 2.19 carat. One difference is the price of Savarite is greater than the price of umlite garnet, although they're much closer these days. This one appraises for $5,250. $37.99 is our price online. And with the 20% off, okay, where's it at? Oh, there it is. It is $3,039 or $1,388 a carat. Just really well cut, excellent brilliance. I can't. There we go.
You're trying.
This camera kind of limits the depth of color that you see because it is significantly deeper color green than this, but shows you the brilliance and the size real well. And this particular stone comes from Tanzania. And the other green stone from Tanzania is the chrome tourmaline. And unlike Savarite, this typically does not come also from Kenya. It's only a Tanzanian stone. This is just for chrome tourmaline. This is just a very fine color. As the name states, chromium is the coloring agent, although I think vanadium plays a part also in the coloration of this gem. So I don't get a lot of chrome tourmaline to cut, but did manage to get this rough on our trip in Tanzania, or Kenya actually. Even though it comes from Tanzania, Kenya is a source for a lot of Tanzanian gems. So just a nice step cut, step crown, step pavilion.
How can you separate chrome tourmaline versus just a green tourmaline? Is there an easy way?
Chrome filter?
Chrome filter?
Yeah, cheap device that just will show this stone as being red just because of the chromium. Easy separation also works for Savarite, separating chrome tourmaline from Savarite. So the stone weighs 2.36 carat, appraised value of $3,055. Our price online, $1,660. 20 off brings it down to $1,328 or $563 a carat. Gotta find a better way of doing this. Oh, well. You get the idea. There's the size. You know, this one cut about as shallow as you can cut it correctly. So you get a nice big face for a 2 carat, just over 2 carats down. Measures 9 by 7, which typically in most gems is more like a 3 carat stone. Keeping on the green vein, here's a amylite that is green, green, green. It is just a vivid emerald green color, and all green. I don't know if there's a little spot of red in there, maybe some blue. But it's as green as I'll typically see them. Amylite's pretty amazing for the intensity of colors is pretty much second to none. You know, even opal has a hard time competing with the brilliance of the colors that this has. So even make a nice men's pendant.
I've actually got one in the shop that I'm making for myself.
Yeah.
It's got a really nice, I think it's mostly green too. But with that really neat movement I like, and the story behind it, that it was a 70 million year old fossil, and just really cool.
And these, when I buy them, I'm very specific at what I buy because often, the colors, if you set them as a pendant, they just don't show up. So you really got to look and see when it's set as a pendant that the color is actually reflecting out, so many of them, even though they have beautiful color, you got to put them at a certain angle to get the colors to show, and it really not suitable for a piece of jewelry. If you're going to sit and hold it, it's fine because you can get the color to show up, but you really have to look at each piece individually to see that when set as a piece of jewelry, it's going to show its color well. Otherwise, they just look black. So this one weighs 19.20 carats. No appraised price on it, but our price online $390, and with the 20 off, it's $312 or $16 a carat. So the next stone is the other rainbow moonstone. This one, this one just is material of another source than Madagascar, and as a faceted stone, it just wouldn't make it. It's just hazy enough that it's not going to show well as a faceted stone. This source just produces that nice rainbow colors and works as a cabochon best. I'm assuming this is gonna doesn't do it as dramatic of a blowout of the color, but it really has nice color. Just a lot of different rainbow colors in it. And big cabochon, that doesn't often come this kind of size. What's that?
The material has a lot of inclusions, or not a lot of color to it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, 12 carats. I don't know, have we seen much bigger than that? I'm sure there is. So appraised price on this is $6,680. $5,590 is our price online. And with the 20 off, it's $4,472. And that's one of the surprising stones that this gem guide actually includes rainbow moonstone in it. Seems to be rare enough. I was really kind of surprised to see that it did make a category in this pricing guide. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the pricing guide we use to produce our appraised value of stones. This is a wholesale pricing guide available to the trade that does a really nice job of going out to all the shows and determining what people are asking for their gems. They produce this. It's used by appraisers all over the U.S. and all over the world, really. And next up is one of my favorites. I just love the ametrine. Look forward to cutting a lot more of it. And now with the fantasy machine, it's a type of material that works real well with the fantasies. We had a fantasy cut probably last show, or a show before maybe. No, it had been last show, probably, because then we get it, and we got it in Hong Kong.
But there was a show after that too. So
Okay. Just the unique material showing the amethyst color and the citrine color all in one stone. More typically they're cut where they're a 50-50 split. The one that was sold earlier was an opposed bar with that 50-50 split. But this is a way of mixing the colors. Difficult to get them to show as separately as these are while being mixed, but this one worked real well. You know, it's a 53.68 carat. Price on this is $5,370. $2,680 is our price online. And with the 20% off, it is $2,144 or $40 a carat. You know, it's another one for as unique a gem as it is. Only a one source that produces this kind of material. There is others in Brazil. You still have any of the ametrine scepters?
No, those weren't really much of ametrine.
Yeah,
There wasn't much citrine to it.
they still had some.
Did it?
I think I didn't. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Bolivia is the only source.
No, I think you're right. I think that Brazil did. I just the pieces that I had, I think it was iron staining. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, Bolivia produces the finest. These are natural. They come out of the mine this way. You know, you have to be a little careful because there are synthetics produced in Russia in ametrine. But this is what we bought 2 kilos of it in Hong Kong. The cutter was getting out of the material and was selling all the rough she had, and it was rough I'd been looking for years, and I'd find a piece here and there, and you know, and then we come up with 2 kilos of it. So kind of excited. It'll produce a lot of great stones in the future. You know, and they're very reasonably priced, $40 a carat for a stone that, you know, this one is probably an 8-hour, you know, so it's marginal as far as the labor to selling price, I guess, is marginal. Well, once you get into this size, it is profitable to sit down and cut the stone. And it just gives you such a unique look that, you know, there's nothing else that looks like this. And I'm not sure why it's not more expensive, you know, but so I wonder when the iPhone's going to produce a camera that you can intensify the colors a little bit, because this definitely, the colors are not showing up as intense as they are, but there's no adjustment for saturation. Huh? On the iPhone? Whoa. That worked.
Not quite that,
Huh? Well, that's closer. Yeah, but yeah, I'm a little red, but I mean that's more accurate for the color for sure. That's not an iPhone adjustment, is it? That's your
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's my program I'm using,
Oh, okay.
but it's on the iPhone.
Huh.
But
Well, that's definitely more accurate. But just know that this camera just doesn't typically show the saturations just for the size of the stone. And this one, I'm going to have to, if Nancy would let me wear a necklace, I would wear an ametrine. I can? Nancy's my wife. Michael says I can do what I want. I can wear a necklace. So that's ametrine from Bolivia. Well, the next one we sold.
that one is sold.
Yeah. So this one is gone. Another beautiful aquamarine. Got any questions there, Jeff?
That was it.
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
That really stopped abruptly.
Yeah, were you over there sleeping?
No,
I mean, there's still another 30 some
I
stones.
know,
but-
you guys
If
don't
anybody
tell
wants to
me.
hang around, we got another 30 stones.
Yeah,
But
you guys don't
look
tell
at them
me.
online. There's some great stones in there. I had a hard time deciding which ones to pick for the show. And, there's a few that afterwards I thought, oh, that's particular color's not represented. But there's some great stones in there, and just a really nice selection, all at 20 off. And again, 20 off is more than we typically do any time during the year. During these shows, we sometimes have some special stones that are 25 off, and usually it's because I've bought them especially cheap, and I had the margin to take 25 off. But 20 off is usually kind of pushing me a little bit as far as taking away the profitability of these gems. But this is a unique time, getting ready for Tucson, and we'd like to make a good showing for our pre-Tucson. And when we come back from Tucson, I'm sure we'll have some really extraordinary things to see. We'll buy some great rough, but there'll be some unique stones, and that's what we're looking for this time, is a little bit bigger, not buy so many carat to 2 carat stones, and look for something a little larger and something that's just extraordinary. That's our goal all the time, but I'm going to work harder at that. Hopefully there's new things available and a good quantity of really, really fine stones available out there. So we'll be working hard to bring you the best for our next show.
When is we still doing first Wednesday in February?
No, that won't happen.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll maybe be the second Wednesday, although that's
It's listed on, I think it may be the third Wednesday, but if you go on our the YouTube channel, I have that already scheduled in, because second one would conflict with the Alice in Gemland, which is on
Valentine's Day.
the 12th of February. So I think we may be the week after, but double check on our channel. It's all listed there. You can set a reminder. And then I think I may even have the next one scheduled for March, possibly. If not, it'll be on there.
Yeah, and if you want to, us to email you or text you the next shows, if you go to MoreGems.com, there should be a little icon in the lower left-hand corner that has a gemstone sign up. You just enter your information there, and all the future shows, you'll be notified ahead of time when those are going to happen. But yeah, if you enjoyed this show tonight, if you could just give us a little thumbs up down below, hit that little button. Still 64 people watching, and I think we have 64 thumbs up. So all of you did it. We get over 100, and Michael would be very happy. If you do like
Makes
any of
me
these,
happy.
yeah, if you do like any of these stones tonight, again, I would urge you to pick them up because they are one of a kind. And tomorrow I will be emailing everybody about this these 20% off stones. Everybody that watched tonight, of course, gets the first dibs on them. So definitely, I would.
And is
urge you-
everybody
Huh?
150,000 people?
Well, no, that's the fans on YouTube, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
How come they all don't get it?
notifications.
Yeah.
That's the way YouTube works. I think you have to be you have to hit that bell to be notified. Otherwise, you're just.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so also tomorrow, if the stone's available and you want to put it on a layaway, and we do offer layaway. All you got to do is give us a call tomorrow. You got to put 20% down, and then we will hold that stone for you. We don't offer it, tonight just because I think we've had issues in the past. But if it's around tomorrow, you can do it then.
Yeah,
What time
up to 6 months to
Yep.
pay. We just ask for regular payments, and you can extend it out to 6 months.
Yep. And what time do we open tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're open at 10.
10 a.m. Central. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, not sure if anybody has any questions. I know we answered quite a few throughout the show. We'll wait one more minute here if you want to jump in on the chat and ask any questions for Steve. But in the meantime, I mean, is there anything particular you guys are looking for in Tucson, or what do you? I know you talked about
Well,
bigger stones.
definitely fancy colored tanzanites on my list. I don't know if there's, I don't go out with specifics, because what's available changes all the time. I'm out looking for new things that may be available, things that are available in quantity and are well priced. Again, I hope to find more of that Bahia amethyst because I think it was one of the best buys we've made in years. I would buy another 5 kilos of it if I could. Tanzanite's always on the list, good tanzanite rough. Other than that, I'm pretty much open, and I think that's the way to shop Tucson is be open to what's new and available, and just get out there and look for those extraordinary stones that are priced at a price you can make some money on. So that's my only criteria.
All right. Okay, we got a few. Raylene, I made it to the live. She's happy. We're about the show's about over, but you can rewatch it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were waiting for you.
Yeah, yep. We were all holding on for you, Raylene. But yeah, you can rewatch it anytime you'd like. Holly, just to clarify, all the stones shown tonight are suggested for pendants and not for rings because of their durability. No, we have a lot that are for rings.
Yeah.
I think most of them will work for rings.
Most are okay for rings.
Yeah.
We typically tell you when they're not. The sphenes are not. I don't know what else would be in here.
The
Amylites, probably not good for rings. Other than that, most of them okay in rings. Some you have to be a little more careful, not be thinking that I'm going to wear this every day. Sapphire you can wear every day, and it's going to take the abuse. Tanzanite you can wear regular, but if you wear it all the time, given enough time, you're going to scratch the surface, going to need some repairs. The kind of the break that is generally considered is things that are hardness of 7. Because much of nature is 7 in hardness. So things that are harder are more difficult to scratch. Things that are softer in 7, there's a lot of common materials out there that'll scratch it. So not that you can't wear a stone that's less than a 7. You just have to be more careful. Opals are 5, 5.5 in hardness. If you wear it constantly, you are going to damage the surface. There's no question about it. But most of these stones, the damage can be fixed. But some stones are definitely not on the list of ring wearability. Everything's going to do better in a pendant. You're not going to damage things in a pendant typically.
What about moonstone?
Moonstone is it's going to take some abuse in a ring. You have to be a little more careful. I'm not sure. Don't even know exactly the hardness. I want to say it's 6.5. I do have a book here I could tell you real quick.
6.5.
6.5. Yeah. So it's one of those borderline stones that you just know you have to be more careful with. But you're not typically gonna damage them severely. You're just gonna scratch the surface, and eventually they're gonna require repolishing.
All right, got some more coming in here. Phil wanted to know you've mentioned color change garnet and alexandrite like garnet over shows. Is that the same thing? You're just using different names, or is it different?
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, color change. Although color change can be a broader definition that can take in stones that aren't reddish to greenish, which alexandrite like garnet means it's reddish to greenish like an alexandrite is. But there are garnets that change color that are not so distinct, but they're definitely different in different lights. They do more of a color shift and a color change. So Alexandrite-like, meaning they're mimicking what Alexandrite does, and that's a green to red color shift.
All right. Phil, hopefully that answers that question. Raylene, thank you. She sent you $10, Steve.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the tip. We do appreciate that. I don't know if that's the first.
All right,
Do we just get? Have we
I
got
have to
one?
split that with my
Number one
boys.
fan.
I think that's only happened once. Is that the first time?
That was the first time.
Okay.
That was awesome. Cool.
Oh, Raylene, I'm glad we held off the show to end before Raylene got here.
Everybody give Raylene a gem in the chat.
Yes. Thank you, Raylene. Corey wants to know what your let's see. Corey wants to know what's your personal opinion of the desirability of chrome tourmaline.
It's one of my favorites for sure. I always look for it. It's just it's in that category of exceedingly rare to find really fine chrome tourmalines. Single source, Tanzania, so there's not a lot of it. Fortunately, my sources have kind of specialized in it over the years, and I do get some material regularly. But when you go to Tucson, you'll rarely see chrome tourmaline out there. There's just not much of it. So I think it's a special stone. It's the least expensive of the chrome colored gems, compared to Savorite, much less expensive than Savorite, and can be remarkably similar to Savorite also. Then you compare it to emerald, and of course it's much less expensive and typically a better green than even what emerald is. Not always, but so to me it's a special gem.
Okay. Next, Richard wants to know, Steve, what is your assessment of the color of the 2.15 carat zircon with the cushion cut? We didn't talk about it tonight, I don't believe.
Yeah. Is it in the second part of the show? I think I left it out because it wasn't expensive enough.
Yeah, I think
it's a great stone. It's from Malawi, beautifully cut, and just intense color. That's the kind of color that's special in zircon. That's a really great stone.
Okay. I think that is it. What? Oh, yeah, I asked, it was Corey had asked about, would you be willing to show the other aqua?
If it was this 933.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Corey didn't respond to that, but yeah. And Phil wanted to know also, we don't have the color change garnet out, do we, to show? No.
And I have a few of them. There are, I think what the one is. I don't have access to the web, so there's probably 3 stones, and one of them that's pretty well priced for the quality of the stone. I just
Color
looked
change?
at it recently. Yeah, maybe it's 1.5 carats.
Is it trillion?
No, not a trillion.
1.84 carat oval.
Maybe what's the price on that?
75, 60.
No.
Yeah, the trillion's 52.50. That's the only ones I see.
I think there's one other stone. There's not something. That's all that's on the website.
Let me see. Got a lot of garnets. There's an Alexandrite. Okay, there's another one. Alexandrite like garnet, 1.47 at 29.70.
Yeah. I think that's for the money. It's a great stone. I think it maybe has as good a color change as the others. The others I bought later when there is no material. I mean, it's just disappeared from the market. So think the 147, if it's big enough, is a really well-priced stone and a really good color change.
And Phil, I did link to it in chat for you. So, Den wants to know, do you like the chrome tourmaline better than the green tourmaline posted step cut kite tourmaline from Nigeria? Let me take a look. Yeah. 20 carats.
That's a great stone. But, the chrome has a better green color, but it depends on the color you like. That material from Nigeria was really special too. And a big stone like that, just really, it's a beauty. I think there's two of them. There's an oval also.
Oh, yeah, because you cut it from one crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. 20 carats. Okay.
Is there an oval there too?
What is it?
Real similar color. Yeah, those are real nice stones too. But it's hard to compare the two because they're.
The Nigeria.
One's just
17 carat.
One's more pure green, and the other's a little yellowish green. But those were special too. For green tourmalines, those are extraordinary.
Yeah, 17 carat oval. Is that the other one?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I just linked it for you too.
Steve, I like this question. If you could pick one gem to have for life, but keep no others, which one would it be?
For life and keep no others.
Yeah, you get rid of everything except for you get to pick one.
Well, right now it's this morganite. Which one? The big trillion. Yeah. And this again. Here, turn up my saturation.
Yeah.
See if you can get that right. Yep, get me out of the picture here. See when we get. It's pretty intense color. Although it's kind of showing a little wonky, but this stone is just, I don't know, it just blew me away when I cut it, and it's a color that I've always appreciated. It's not far, but it's just that and more intense, and it's the stone that I look at now and don't care if I ever sell it. It just pleases me. Always been my favorite color in gems, and to get something this big, which I've yet to see a bigger one. I know in a morganite, I'm sure it's out there. We've seen some big ones, but the cutting hasn't been right, and this is just, it's cut right. It's 100% brilliant, and the color is just perfect for a morganite. God, I hope it didn't sell. I was just waiting for that, and I'm gonna, whatever he says, I'm buying.
So, you answered a question for Corey. He did pick up that chrome tourmaline, 2.36 carat.
It's a cool stone.
Thanks, Corey.
Yeah, thanks, Corey.
Next one is, Richard. He asked about the cushion cut blue zircon, 2.15 carats. He ended up picking it up.
Yeah.
So thank you, Richard. And
Thank you.
For both you guys, if you do want to do any sort of custom design around it, we'd love to help you out there. Just, shoot us an email and let us know. Otherwise, we can just ship these right out to you.
Cool.
All right. Let's see. I think that is it. Everybody's saying keep that morganite to yourself. All right. I think we're probably good. Anything else? All right. 10, 20, 3.5 hours. Not too bad.
You only have an hour and 20 minutes to drive.
Hour 20 to drive home. Yeah, I'll get home
The
around.
way you drive, it's 45 minutes. But
I'll get home around midnight. It's a good time these nights. So.
yeah.
All right. I'll take it away, Steve.
All right, take away, Michael.
All right, everybody. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Sign up for alerts for when we go live. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Everybody, keep on gemming.
All right, I'm Steve Moriarty. Keep on jamming. Thank you. All right, good night.
Let's go, like the stage is set. Rare gemstones you won't forget. Colors so bold, they steal the scene. A world of brilliance, crisp and clean. On the MoreGems where treasures shine. A moment of beauty, a spark divine. Cut to perfection. Glowing with pride, step into the wonder, come inside. Come inside, oh. The finest gems, each one a star, from places distant and lands afar. Shapes that shimmer, hues that play. This is your chance, it's Gem Drop Day. To see the light in every stone, crafted by hands, each one alone. A fleeting glimpse, don't let it fade. Gems like these are never remade. On the MoreGems where treasures shine. Where treasures shine. A moment of beauty, a spark divine. Cut to perfection, glowing with pride. Step into the wonder, come inside. Go, come inside, go. It's the MoreGems Show, a dazzling view where every gemstone waits for you. Welcome to the MoreGems Show. Let's go. On the MoreGems where treasures shine. A moment of beauty, spark divine. Cut to perfection, glowing with pride. Step into the wonder, come inside. Learn inside, yo. It's the MoreGems Show, a dazzling view where every gemstone waits for you.